Hey guys, it's Ashton. I just wanted to make a quick video, really just kind of detailing my real estate process. A lot of people have been asking me about, how did I pass? And on the first try at that, because the real estate exam it's definitely not easy, but I just found out what worked for me and executed. So the whole purpose of me making these videos is really just to bring value to you guys. A lot of people are interested and want to know more, and I can tell by all the messages and comments and text messages that I've gotten that you guys are definitely interested. So I just figured I'll go ahead and make these videos and hopefully add some value, give some value to you guys. So first off, what I did, that was the main question. What was it that I did? How did I prepare? Well, before I even enrolled in real estate school, for me, what was most important for all the books that I've read, from all the webinars and seminars I attended, the biggest thing for me was I had to first develop my why. Understand why I want to do something. Why do I want to get into real estate? Like, what's the purpose? What's my mission in this thing? And that, to me, I learned that why had to be so big that it was going to provide enough fuel for me to reach the goals, the big goals that I have for myself in real estate. It had to be big enough to provide that fuel. So for me, the very first thing was I developed my why early on. I mean, I've been wanting to get into real estate for years now, probably like 6 or 7 years. But it wasn't until recently, which 2017 was kind of that year for me to just get active and get up and get active in it. And so I developed my why. I wrote it down and I put it in front of my face every day because that's my fuel, understanding my why. So the first thing was I developed my why. The second thing that I did was I researched all of the real estate schools here in the Baton Rouge area. Baton Rouge, Louisiana is where I'm currently located. So I researched all the schools. I looked at everything from what all was included to what pricing, all that good stuff. One thing that I did as well was I called the schools to see, okay, what is their pass rate, of all the people coming to this school, how many people are passing on the first try. That was really my main thing whenever I called the schools. And I narrowed my search down. And then one thing that was big for me was, because I knew my goals, I knew my why, the main thing now for me was I wanted to work at a pace that was good for me. I didn't want to be subject to anyone else's pace, mainly because I wanted to move faster than everyone else. Typically, whenever I ask people how long did it take them to get their real estate license, people say, oh, man, it took 4 months, 6 months. I didn't want to wait that long, so I chose to do something online. And then with the online classes, I also have the option to either just have a book and just read the book, or I can read the book as well as have a teacher kind of format where like there's recorded videos of a teacher explaining what's going on or what this chapter means or what this chapter is about. So for me, I ended up choosing Bob Brooks School of Real Estate. They had video, they had the books for me to read, and a lot of practice exams that came with it. So, and I was able to, I enrolled in classes December 2nd. I finished those classes December 7th. And then December 28th, I took the exam because I wanted to wait until the end of the year. That way, I could choose to go active at the beginning of the year in January for 2018. So the big thing for me was I knew that because I knew my goals, I knew my why, I just wanted to press down and get it. Luckily, I had about a few days' time where I could really commit and just go in without, another job being a hassle, At the time, I was in between starting up a newer position. So I just took advantage of that free time. And a lot of us are working full-time jobs and doing real estate, or some people don't have a full-time job at all and just trying to figure things out. So for me, uh, definitely research. The first thing I did was develop my why. Second thing was I researched the school and I found out what works for me. And you guys have to do that for you. If you're fine with just reading off a page, then choose that. Go with that. Me, I wanted something where I could see it explained or hear it explained in a different way. The third thing that I did that prepared me was, and this seems really basic, but you'd be surprised that a lot of us as adults still don't do this, even though they told us to do this in middle school and in high school and college, which is read the material. It's so important to actually read it and then couple that with listening to what your instructor is saying. So the 3A, I would say for the third one, 3A is read the material. 3B is listen to your instructor. With reading the material, again, you are able to let it soak in, help you learn a little bit more. A lot of people, if you go online, go on YouTube, just talk to people, you'll find that a lot of people they didn't, really read the material. They just took the practice test a whole bunch of times and then went in to take the real exam. That worked for a small amount of people, but everyone else that I've talked to or seen, if you go to any YouTube video and go in the comment section, you'll see tons of people say, oh man, this is my third, fourth, fifth time taking the test. And, I still haven't passed or this and that. It's because they're not, committing to it, so, and as well, like the instructor, I called the instructor and I said, hey, his name was Brent Lancaster. I said, Mr. Brent, what can I do to make sure that I pass this thing on the first try? And he gave me instructions. He said, go through this 5 practice tests for your national exam, 3 for your state. You can take the first one, and then on that same national exam, you can click reattempt quiz, or you can move on to the second one. What I did was I went through the first one, went through the second one, went through the third one, went through the fourth one, went through the fifth one. And he said, keep taking those until you're getting 90s or more. And so for me, that was great instruction because, Isaac Newton says, if I've seen further, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. And in this particular scenario, the teacher and the material, those are the shoulders of giants that I have to stand on. So I listened and I followed the instruction. And the best thing I could have done was just do what he said, which was take it over multiple times. Because for me, I realized that exposed weaknesses where, I thought I knew something, but I didn't. So I knew what I knew, so I focused and I studied on what I didn't know. And that was a game changer for me because I didn't waste time going over things that I knew I understood, and the test proved it. The practice test proved it. But once I saw that there was a pattern of things that I was missing on the practice exams, that helped me go back and say, okay, let me go back now and go back to this chapter and help kind of freshen up some things, or let me go Google maybe just a different way for this to be explained, or YouTube, man, what is tenancy in common, or what is for Louisiana, what is the co-ownership, just different things. Like, there's different civil laws, and then there's your more national laws and national phrases. So for me, it was just trying to figure out as much as I could from that perspective. So I knew my why. I developed my why. I researched the school. 3A was I read the material. 3B was I listened to my instructor when he said take the test, or take the practice exams, get 90s or better. Me, I wanted to get 98s or better, 98 or 100s. I mean, that was, I didn't, for the goals that I had for 2018, I didn't have time to take this test 3 times, 2 to 3 times. It was I'm gonna study and prepare so I can get it right the first time. Um, so and then also it was with reading the material. To me, a lot of realtors will say, "Man, this is stuff that you'll never use again after you take the test." But for me, it's important that if I'm gonna commit to something, if I'm gonna say, "Man, I'm gonna be the best," because my goal and my plan and what I believe is that no one here can provide the level of customer service I can provide. I feel like I can provide the best customer service in any customer service related field ever. That's just my goal. That's just my confidence. I feel is my gift and my belief. So because of that, I know that if I want to be the best real estate agent that's providing that excellent, stellar customer service, then I gotta study to show myself approved. And to me, it's if this is part of the process, I want to be the best. I want to give my best and commit my best to every part of the process. That's what's going to be the difference between people who just agents that are, I'm going to half-ass it and just do this and that, because I believe it'll translate to what you do in the field or what you do whenever you're actually walking in that capacity, compared to someone who is going to commit to the process and be consumed by every part of the process. I mean, that's just my belief. That's just my personality. Other people see it differently, but that's just how I saw it. The fourth thing that I did was I gave myself a deadline. So again, I started the classes December 7th. I finished them I started December 2nd, finished December 7th, and took the test December 28th. I scheduled my test right after, on December 7th. It was, I woke up every morning at like 3:30, and I finished, each day around midnight or a little after midnight for 5 days. And I made a game plan. I wrote down, okay, if I can finish these 3 classes, which was contracts, valuation, and real estate math, then, I could, in theory, if I do 3 classes a day, I could be done, in a couple days or whatever the case was. So that's what I did. And then I said for my exam, once I finished the classes, it allowed me to now schedule the test. So once I scheduled the test, or once I finished the classes, then I said, okay, I want to take my test, at this time. So I gave myself a specific deadline, which made me realize, or made me just think differently in, okay, the material that I'm getting, what I don't know, I need to know. Why don't I know it? How can I learn it better? So that's what it was. I went back. That's what the deadline helped for me, but because it helped me stay focused on constantly engaging in what I don't know, which therefore helped me, help me study better. So that was pretty awesome. And lastly, I took the test while it was still fresh on my brain. A lot of people will take the test and then schedule it for they'll go through the classes, schedule the test for like a month out or 2 months out. And I didn't want to do that, man. At that point, you start losing all of the information. And with as many questions, there's like 90 questions on the national exam and 65 on the state. And you got to take it all in one sitting. So I want everything to be as fresh as possible for me. And whenever I studied, man, whenever I focused on, like I said, the things that I didn't know. And on the things that I didn't know, I made note cards. And I was never that in high school, never that in college. But because I knew my why was developed. I knew that was my fuel. So I knew that I didn't have an excuse. I knew that I didn't have a reason not to pass the very first time. So I did everything I could think of. I took note cards. I went over those note cards. I took them to my job, and I would just, whenever there was some slow time, I would just pull those note cards out and just go over it, drill it in my brain. And it got to the point where the hard concepts that I wrote down on my note cards, I was able to visually see them when I was taking the test. And that helped so much, because the main thing that you have to understand is when you're taking the test, they're not going to say, what is an encroachment, and then give you or they won't say what is the definition of an encroachment, or they won't give you the definition and then say what is this, and you have to choose between easement, encroachment, easement, appurtenant, or whatever the case is. It's all situational. It's gonna say Bob owns this piece of land and Joy owns this piece of land, and Bob needed a right of ingress and egress from his property, and he had to use so and so's land to do that. What did this create? So it's all situational. It's situational questions. I probably had 2 questions out of 90 or out of 65 that said, that were just straight up, this is the definition. What is it? So don't bank on those. But the harder concepts for me, I was able, because I wrote them down on my note cards, I visually saw them. So you got to understand the concepts of the contracts. You got to understand concepts of laws, rights. When you can understand the concepts of it, then you can apply those concepts to whatever situation that they may present to you. But if you only understand it a certain way, then you might struggle a little bit more on the test. So that was what I did. So what I would suggest for you guys is, one, like I said, develop your why. That's your fuel. When you don't feel like studying, when you don't feel like reading, when you feel like, I can just skip over this, you got to know that, man, it's important to know your why, because that's what's going to commit you to the process. And when you're fully committed, you're able to get in it through and through. You're solid. The second thing I would suggest is research the type of school that's best for you. If you've never just read for pleasure, do not go to a real estate school that only offers reading, because it won't work for you. I mean, unless you're to the point where it's like, 2018, new year, new me, and I'm going to do something I've never done before, and you really commit to that, then okay. But for 99% of the rest of the people, it does not work. If you need someone there if you need to go to the class in person, go to a live class. If you can work better online by yourself, but prefer a teacher format or someone teaching it to you, choose that option, which is what I chose, and it worked great for me. Again, Brent Lancaster was awesome in that. Third, read the material. Just read the material. It can make everything a lot less confusing, and it'll stick with you a lot longer if you just read the material and listen to your instructor. Take the practice exams until once you've read the material and now you're taking the practice exam, and making 90s or better, great, you're doing it. And then lastly, study what you don't know. You know what you know, so study what you don't know. And that to me was probably the biggest help. So if I could suggest anything to you guys, it's just that. It's not a ton of information, but it's enough. And it's for people who are just getting into it, it's new. So that's definitely, something that I would suggest. So we talked about what I did. I talked about, what I would suggest to you guys, what you can expect. Man, if you're in the Baton Rouge area, you can expect the test location to be so cold. Oh my gosh. Like, it had to be 50 degrees. Matter of fact, I'll give them 2 degrees. It had to be 52 degrees at the Baton Rouge location. It was just insane. And, the whole time I was just shaking while I was taking my test. I doubt that it was nerves, more so that it was just really, really cold. But, yeah, so definitely expect that if you're in the Baton Rouge location. Also, in Louisiana, so you have 90 questions for your national. You need to pass, you need 56. So, and for your state, there's 65, and you need 40 to pass. I think on my national, I got a 76 out of 90, where you only needed 56 to pass, and I got a 55 out of 65 for the state, where you only needed 40. So I was able to pass with really good scores, so that helped a lot. Just doing everything that I wrote in. got the scores mailed to me, so I'll be able to show you guys that too for those who doubt. But yeah, so that's what, and also what you can expect. It's not gonna be as simple on like it was on the practice exams. You can expect it to be worded a lot. They will give you a ton of information in a math problem that you don't need. You will probably only need the last 2 sentences of a paragraph or two of information when it comes to math problems. And so focus on what are they asking. Read the question twice and then ask yourself, so what do they want? And then from there, you can apply whatever formulas or, that you need. But expect it to be situational questions. So it's not just going to be what is S-cheat or what is, tenancy in common, what is joint tenancy, things like that. So that's pretty much what you guys can expect. So again, if you have any other questions, or let me also, we can talk about too, whenever it comes to like filling out your paperwork, a lot of people, let me just give you this tip if you're thinking about it. And if you're in Baton Rouge, this will work well for you. A lot of people waited to just mail their information, like once they've taken their, finished their classes and they take their test for the class, then you have to mail your stuff for the exam. You don't have to mail it. I mean, I don't know if it was me. I called the Louisiana Real Estate Commission. I asked them what the process was after I finished, and they told me I could mail it. I said, well, if I have all the information that you guys need, can I just come by and bring it to you? And they said, sure, you can definitely do that. And so I did that, and I was able to get access that same day because I just didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait a week for things to mail and all this. It's about action, guys. If I can encourage you for anything about real estate, man, if you're gonna pursue anything in life, don't be the person that always has to depend on other people. I've been in that situation too many times in life. If I can get out and get active and make things happen, then I'm gonna make things happen if it's in my power to do so. So that's just what I really wanted to share with you guys for this video. This video is gonna this will probably be one of the longer videos just because I was getting a lot more detailed. In the future, I really won't make videos this long. I think we're going like 23 minutes or something like that. But yeah, so the next videos though, I'm excited because I've picked the broker that I'm going with. So I'm gonna tell you guys the next video will be about how do you want to pick your broker and all this kind of stuff, or what brokerage you want to work for, and how I came to the choice that I did and why I came to the choice that I did. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys because I think that this company is actually pretty freaking awesome. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. Again, if you have any other questions, any concerns, anything that you feel like, hey, I heard something different, you might want to check that out, just let me know. I'm totally open to hearing new wisdom and knowledge. So just let me know what you guys have. I appreciate all the questions that I've gotten in my DMs or in my text messages. So I'm always willing to help. And if you guys want, I'm definitely down to, if you're local, we can go over some things to study. I'm cool with that as well. So, I'll see you guys on the next one. Be looking out for the next video where I tell you guys about the brokerage I chose. So you guys have a good one. Again, if you have any other questions, hit me up. All right, you guys have a good one. Take care.